우리는 너 그 위에 나는 너 baby baby 나는 뭘 좀 아는 너.
Hello and welcome back to Improvement episode number 2 with me, Wardí. Hope you're having a good time. We're going to get straight on into our next game. In fact, it's already started up. And it's going to be Shroomer against MikeHunt. In the bottom left hand corner is the green Terran player Shroomer, who did submit this replay via Reddit. And in the top right hand corner, our red Zerg player MikeHunt. So see what's up here. As it looks like this was played out in a tournament of some sort. So as the game starts up, guys, please do check out our Twitter, Facebook, YouTube channel, twitter.com/sc2_improve, facebook.com/sc2improve, and youtube.com/sc2improve as well. Also, if you like the show and SC2 Improve content, please do consider following us on the Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Wardí, i.e. the game you're watching right now. The game you're watching, the channel you're watching right now. Let's get into this game. We'd see that the racks coming up at the front for Shroomer. No kind of two racks shenanigans. These guys have a little bit of BM war going on. See what Shroomer wants to open up with, as we're going to have the hatch first out of the Zerg, which isn't too crazy at all. I mean, it's pretty much the standard. You see a pool, I mean, sometimes 10 pool, 6 pool have been coming into ZVT a lot more lately. The drone's going to get a nice scout off here, sees that there's no gas being taken. We've been seeing early pools a lot more frequently in ZVT, but other than that, the hatch first is still kind of the common go-to kind of thing. So we'll see exactly what the players want to do and how MikeHunt's going to follow up from this. Is he going to take that third hatch very quickly? Is he going to get some gases and put on some heavy pressure, try and punish the one racks expand from Shroomer? The other question is how is Shroomer going to play us out? Is he going to take his gases now? And yes, he is. So it looks like he's probably going to be going for a Hellion Banshee style play. And how fast is he going to get that third CC? Well, it's not going to be stupidly fast. So he's going to be relatively safe from all ins with these gases, getting the Hellions and the Banshee out. We'll see how it plays out, of course, and we'll see if he can put any pressure on with them early units that he's going to be making as well. So again, MikeHunt did get the scout of the gasless play, and right now we do see Shroomer is scouting in his opponent's base right now, sees the pool, saw the hatch first, he does see a gas being taken, so MikeHunt already going to be investing into some kind of either early tech or all-in kind of play, so it could just be for speed, pulling out after 100 gas, something like that. So you can get some map control, maybe put on a bit of pressure of 20 lings or so early on. But just in general, maybe some map control, be able to clean up early Hellions, things like that. Speed is very often used for. At the same time, you could very easily put down a Roach Roaring very soon and go for a very quick rush, and there we do see Roach Roaring on the way down, so it's just going to be a very quick Roach Rush out of MikeHunt off of the two bases. And he's probably going to go up to, you know, about 30ish drones and then start them roaches, so pretty much as soon as the roach roaring finishes. So with this next round of injects popping, he's going to pretty much be making about 8 roaches, and he's going to be going across the map and seeing what damage he can do. Going to be very powerful, of course, against the pretty much pure Hellion that's out, and it's also going to be pretty powerful against this bunker placement here, because there's only 3 Marines in that bunker. SCVs are going to have to be pulled to repair it, and at the same time he can also just come in from this side and attack on that command center there. So MikeHunt's going to be able to do quite a fair amount with this early aggression, I would like to say, as we're about to see Shroomer getting the Hellions out. Again, he hasn't really been able to scout much more in his opponent's base. Scanning around the 6ish minute mark, 6:30 mark, if you see an early gas, can kind of tell you what's up if you want to. But in this situation he doesn't seem to want to do that, at least not yet, so that's fine as well. But of course right now he's got no map control at all, and the first time he's going to see these roaches is going to be with these first 2 Hellions, which isn't bad per se, but with the bunker in this position he might be hard pressed to hold this off. So we'll see how it goes as the first 2 Hellions move out on the map, and are they going to miss the roaches? Good luck, have fun being called at the 6:40 mark. So these Hellions moving across the map, they don't see the roaches at all. And that's a little bit of an issue. He's going to come in right now and see no third base, and he's going to be thinking, well, what can be up? And he's going to come into the natural, and he might be able to do a fair bit of damage with these Hellions, but the Roaches are coming in here. He's going to have to pull SCVs to deal with this. One Marauder is out, and that Marauder is actually going to get targeted down immediately. So a little bit of a mistake here by Shroomer, not getting that Marauder into the bunker there. Could have helped out quite a lot and done a lot of damage to these Roaches, have cleaned them up a lot sooner. As right now these Roaches are just going to do as much damage as they can. MikeHunt pulling back there slightly, not soon enough though. Going to supply block his opponent. The Hellion's going to come back to defend, and they're not going to be able to do too much. There's another Marauder now on the high ground. He needs to get that into the bunker as soon as possible. And again, right now, these mules aren't mining, these SCVs aren't mining either, and that orbital command actually has to be lifted, and Shroomer going to have to hide in his base here. He has followed up with 3 racks, so he's actually going to get enough units out to combat this pretty quickly. And it looks like he might even be going for some kind of Marauder Hellion play, but so he's going to be able to come out of here now and start retaking this base. Again, the Roaches are starting to be attacked here, and he's going to chase them away, and one Hellion does get shot down. It looks like in general though, these Roaches are just dead meat. These 2 Marauders in the back doing so much damage, picking off the 2 Roaches in the front there, and the last Roaches will now fall. So, taking out that mule at the last second. So Shroomer holds it off, and how much damage did he take? Well, he's down by 21 workers, which isn't great because he didn't take a stupidly early 3rd CC. In fact, he doesn't have a 3rd CC up, so he's taken a fair amount of damage. And all in all, if he just had that first Marauder into that bunker, it would have been a completely different story. Sure, he would have lost a few SCVs, but then he'd lose a few SCVs, but he'd clear it up a lot faster. He'd be able to produce SCVs off the natural again a lot quicker, things like that. So having that Marauder in the bunker would have helped a lot. Other than that though, in general this build's a little bit weird. I mean, he's not rushing out a 3rd CC, which kind of means that he's going to be going for some kind of 10-minute pressure, but it also means that because he took so much damage, he's not going to be able to just catch up immediately. Now, as the 3rd base of the Zerg is finishing, some Roaches are out for defense. In fact, quite a lot of Roaches still from MikeHunt. He maybe made a few too many of them. The Hellions are going to start getting picked off though. They're going to try and run by, but nicely positioned Roaches already at that 3rd base, going to be able to pick off them Hellions. So Shroomer will have to be very careful running into here, and one Hellion gets picked off immediately. Looks like a second will go down too before them Hellions escape. So now just down to 3 Hellions. The map control starting to be severely limited for our Terran player. And the starport now being transferred onto the reactor. Siege tank production starting up as well, but again, still no 3rd base. So really, something in this game like a 3rd base would be so great, because he'd be able to just be pumping SCVs behind this. And if you can get a 3rd base down and then add the racks, that's even better, because you're getting the 3rd base up and then you're adding your racks slightly slower. And in this situation, it probably wouldn't have made too much of a difference in terms of holding off that all-in pressure. So adding the 3rd CC a lot sooner is just such a common thing to do, and such a great and easy thing to do in TvZs. And in this situation, it's going to end up putting the Terran player behind, because he didn't do it, because of the fact that the Zerg's now got a 3rd base up, and there's still no 3rd base on the way. A lot of bunkers. Shroomer not feeling too confident. He did see a lot of Roaches, so I like the decision to put up a lot of bunkers. It's better safe than sorry, right? He saw a lot of Roaches. He saw a 3rd base. Sure, he wasn't quite able to get far enough in to see if it was saturated at all. He wasn't quite able to get back here, so it could very well could have been just a 3rd base to kind of throw off his opponent, maybe for some extra lava, and then just another huge kind of Roach bust, a Roach bling bust. And so the bunkers, I like them. Maybe 4 is a bit excessive, but I like the idea. Shroomer needs to kind of start making some depots along here to start walling off. Things like that, SimCitying with the depots is so important, and so useful all the time. With some Roaches gonna just take position over at the 3rd base, and we do in fact see Hydralisks in the production tab, because we have Hydralisk den down, and we're gonna be seeing that kind of Stefano style Roach Hydra play. MikeHunt with some nice map awareness here, pulling back when he sees this move out. And Shroomer's army right now, it's a little bit weak against Roach Hydra. I mean, pure Marauder mostly. I mean, there's a few Marines here. They're the real damage dealers against the Hydras. So the Marauders will be able to rip through the Roaches, but once they get to the Hydras, they're going to find themselves in a little bit of trouble, and they're going to go down very quickly. So Shroomer needs to kind of find himself something to do with this army. Again, he doesn't have a fast 3rd base, so he needs to find a way to make the Zerg make units. In this game, the Zerg's made a lot of units anyway. In another game, if the Zerg has droned up a lot more, then the Terran player will have to find a way to force units out, so moving out with this army a little bit earlier, and so on, before the Zerg gets up to 70 drones. In this game, like, MikeHunt very easily could have been up at 70, 80 drones already, and then made all of these units that he's already got here, because he just hasn't needed them before now. So Shroomer gonna start moving down. He does have siege mode, so he's moving out with this, but again, his army's pretty small. If you have a look at the units tab, he's got 40 marauders, 15 marines, 3 tanks, 4 medevacs, against 34 roaches and 14 hydras. And if you look at the army tab, that's like double the army supply for MikeHunt, who's actually a maxed out army now. Now sure, roaches is pretty cheap, you know, but in general, you're not going to be wanting to kind of fight this army, especially with 0-0 upgrades, with the 1-1 on the Roach Hydra. So Shroomer put up a nice position here, but the problem is he's going to have to get out of there pretty soon, or continue to reinforce that position, because otherwise he's going to get overrun pretty quickly. So looks like MikeHunt's preparing to take this 4th base in the center, and again he's got a nice position to do so. I mean, the Terran's kind of setting up here, but that's not too scary because he knows there's no 3rd base out yet. He knows this aggression can't go on for too long, and MikeHunt might actually go up the ramp, which should be a bit of an awkward decision. I mean, you don't want to be running up the ramp, of course. So Shroomer just holding this nice offensive position on top of the ramp, but he could very easily be surrounded from behind. And so he's really put himself in a bit of a dangerous spot here. There's not many drops going down, there's absolutely no drop defense, so maybe with 1 drop or so, some of these units could be pulled back and the kind of attack could be launched on the 4th base. Marine going to be positioned for map control, so going to spot for any kind of surrounding play. But the 3rd base still can't be taken, and when you're 16 minutes in the game with no 3rd base up, you're going to start having a pretty tough time, as a Nidus network even starts to come down as well. So Nidus network going to come down. There's a drop I was talking about a little bit before, so we'll see how much is brought back, and a few roaches also. MikeHunt playing that out very intelligently, but he nearly brought too much home. Leaving a lot of the army here will stop this kind of moving, though, from our Terran player. This drop getting cleaned up pretty nicely now, as it looks like the Terran wants to engage down here, and he's picking himself a nice engagement. There isn't actually that many units left for MikeHunt at this 4th base, so Shroomer going to be able to pick off a lot of these Hydras, which are relatively expensive. 21 Hydras coming up in the Remax, 33 Hydras coming up in the Remax though. And the question is there enough left over for Shroomer to pressure? Well, no, not really. And again, Shroomer's just not got the kind of money needed this game to be able to keep up production and so on. So Shroomer kind of hurting because of this. A lot of roaches coming out. Still, a nice network now coming up over here in the 3rd base, and that could be taking down some things pretty quickly, already stimming some units back, and because them units are having to be pulled back, that means MikeHunt might be able to consider breaking this position here very soon. Now, a nice network could go up in the main base as well, so again, I really like what MikeHunt's doing here, just trying to break this position of the Terran by forcing the Terran units to not be reinforced. So this army here is so weak for Shroomer, and he really should just consider pulling back until he can shut down these Niduses, etc. Because if he doesn't, he's going to find himself in a lot of trouble as roaches now start streaming into his main base, and these roaches are going to be able to do a fair amount of damage. But again, the most important thing is the fact that the Terran units have to be pulled back here and aren't here with the main force. As MikeHunt now starts to come in, he's going to be able to break up this ramp. It's not going to be the best of trades for him, but it's going to work out for him nonetheless. And again, it's all because most of the Terran reinforcements are still back at home. So Shroomer, you know, that was a pretty good trade for him. If you look at resources lost, he's actually ahead in terms of resources lost. He's been making better trades. However, the problem with making better trades is it doesn't matter how many good trades you make if you're behind on economy. The Zerg player, he's got a 4th base up now. He's going to start spiking that up a little bit. The drone counts, the worker counts are now equal, but look at this, 20 more drones coming in. And MikeHunt's just maintaining this economy lead, which is why he's just able to continue staying max, continue holding off this aggression, and just being able to keep the Terran on the back foot more or less, as he's going to actually push to the Terran's tower here. And Terran more or less going to find himself contained on 3 bases pretty soon, as MikeHunt's starting up his infestors. He's got a Spire coming down as well. Looks like he's lost his Rotron to one of the drops. No, he doesn't. Oh, so maybe that's the one he just remade. I'll share. But MikeHunt now moving up to the top side. He's going to try and pressure in over here. And Shroomer doesn't actually have that high tank count either. And that could be partially be to do with that late 3rd base. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second, as we see MikeHunt splitting his army, getting ready to put on some pressure here. In fact, pulling back a lot of them Hydras. And we're going to see how this goes. And this command center is in a lot of trouble, of course. Hydra's going to be able to kill that even if it lifts up. And it will, in fact, die. So MikeHunt with a nice snipe there, and Shroomer, even though he saw these units coming around this side, he didn't have these tanks in position, in a good enough position, to kind of defend early enough. So just a little bit of a faster reaction there for Shroomer as soon as this Marine on the tower kind of got killed off. And what I was saying before is, because this third base was so late, his gas count's been very low all game long, so he's never been able to start up a second factory. And because he hasn't started up a second factory, he doesn't have a high tank count. He lost a lot of tanks over here in this engagement as well, remember, so that's kind of really hurting him throughout this game, because tanks shut down Roach Hybrid pretty well as long as you position them correctly, if you keep them in the back of your army and so on. But Shroomer right now, he's saying, well, all or nothing. He's pulling absolutely everything. The Infestors are here, stimming in a few units, gonna maybe pick off something. The Infestors, are they gonna get Fungals down? Huge Fungal in the middle of the map, and Hydra's gonna start ripping that to shreds as well. Tanks siege up in the back, but there's just more and more Infestors here. SCVs are gonna get ripped to shreds by the Hydra shots as well. Infested turrets coming down to soak some of them tank shots too. And MikeHunt not fighting in the best of positions, but I think he may have enough here. The thing is, he can just keep remaxing as he has 30 roaches in the production tab. It's that remax capability because of his higher economy all game long, and Fungal could go down on that army still. It's that remax capability that's just been keeping MikeHunt in this game, as roaches now start streaming to reinforce this, and Shroomer just has nothing behind this at all, so he just can't reinforce it. And Shroomer gonna have to drop out here, dropping down the Manny Mule, which doesn't actually work out when you're losing, bro, but the tank's gonna get taken out as well. And MikeHunt gonna be able to take this game just with a nice kind of play here. And Shroomer again just was behind all game long. If we kind of just start the analysis now, he didn't have that third base anywhere near soon enough, and because he didn't have that third base soon enough, it's just allowed MikeHunt to get a better economy. And MikeHunt wasn't even that greedy. He could have had 78 drones a lot earlier on, and if he'd had that many drones a lot earlier on, he would have so easily been able to just do so much damage even faster. So Shroomer really just found himself behind, not because of the initial damage he took, but because he never got a fast third base, and because he never did a build which was really able to pressure his opponent from after that kind of all-in play and so on. So Shroomer unfortunately doesn't lose the game, but again, just maybe find a build where you don't have to take a third base like stupidly fast. You can find one like maybe 8 minutes or so, and then maybe do an 11-minute-ish push just to make sure he's making units. Things like that are always like really strong in TvZ right now. Right now I'll go command center first into 2 racks, get my gases up, and take a third CC about 6 minutes, and then start kind of teching into that sort of like Medivac, Marine, Marauder, and then as the game goes on and on and on, you can of course continue to just get your tanks out. You get the strong economy off the free base, and you can, because you can have the map control and put some pressure on, you can take your third base quite early on, about the 10-minute mark, get the gases going, and then get the 2-2 on the way. You can get the upgrades going earlier, you can get the tanks coming out, and more Medivacs as well. So Shroomer just really fell behind way too early on with the lack of a third base, with the lack of an economy against his Zerg opponent, who went for an all-in but still did enough damage against the town player who didn't really do that necessarily a greedy build. So we're going to take a quick break as always, and then we'll be right back with some more games. So guys, stay tuned. This is Improvement episode number 2. I'm Wardí, and we'll be back in just a few moments.